Ladies and gentlemen, you know when I'm talking Justice League, I gotta talk about Cyborg. All right, and I did a last article where I told you guys to go and look at this article on Cyborg because he's like one of the central figures of Justice League, and the story of Justice League will go through Cyborg. Okay, really cool character, and I want to compare Cyborg to other iterations of him in animation, in games. You know, I'm not going to use the comic books this time. I'm just going to go animation games. All right. But I also want to show some extra features of Cyborg, and he's this is one of the coolest characters you could ever have, and if they get him right, it'll be cool. You can see there's tears welling up in Cyborg's eyes, and he's very angst at this point in time. So something happened that caused Cyborg to be this way. He looked this way as well. Notice his eyes are not glowing red this time, but yellow. It's very interesting. There's a lot of interesting things about Cyborg. He's even burning yellow from within. So a lot to know. Now, the first time we saw Cyborg was in Empire magazine. You had Cyborg, Batman, Wonder Woman. You see them all here. You've seen the Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman here. Right? There's Batman, that beast of a man that Ben Affleck turns out to be. Look how huge Batman is compared to everybody else. I mean, he's a monster. He's a monster, man. Anyway, so we saw Cyborg in Empire magazine, and then we see Cyborg in battle mode. This is Cyborg in battle mode here. Oh, so cool. Zack Snyder making it so cool. Look at that. Ah! That is so cool. Alright, so we see Cyborg in battle mode. He's going up into the sky. And what's really cool about this is we've actually seen Cyborg's battle mode before. Now, you guys recall before Batman v Superman, people were speculating about the Flash's suit that they saw in Batman v Superman afterwards, right? This came out right after Batman v Superman, these two suits. And people were saying that this suit to the far distant here was Flash's suit that we saw in Batman v Superman, which possibly could have been. You remember the Flash, when the visor came up, the Flash was inside the suit and he was talking to Batman. But nobody knew what this suit was. And people were speculating this is another alternate suit to the Flash. And I was thinking, so it looks so robotic and so mechanized. Well, we know now that this is actually the battle suit up of Cyborg. Alright? When Cyborg battles up, this is what he looks like. So awesome. And so I was right after Batman v Superman, we got these images out there. And now we know that image was an image for Cyborg. It really looks cool. It really looks awesome looking. And I can't wait to see Cyborg. I just hope they get the CGI really good so it looks big and solid like this, you know. Just look at this under closer inspection here of Cyborg. It's so cool. So, you know, we're looking forward to that. I guess those were prototypes as well. So here's Cyborg. And basically, Cyborg has some features that I just want to highlight that other Cyborgs have, which is he has this kind of chin guard thing that goes up, and of course he's half robotic, half human, or, you know, sort of humanoid and sort of robotic at the same time. So this is Cyborg from the Throne of Atlantis, and you can see, like Cyborg that we just saw, he's got that chin guard there going on, and he's got that half robotic, half humanoid face here going on. And then the rest of his body is more or less robotic. Right? You can see the same thing here, and more or less the rest of his body is robotic. So, features of Cyborg is pretty much similar. Right? Let me just zoom in here. Right, bring him back. It's a very cool character. Very cool character. Besides him being a minority, and the fact that he's an outsider, which is kind of how minorities feel, because they can't hide in their skin. You know, usually a minority is treated a certain way because of his skin. How he looks, his complexion, his skin, his facial features, his body features. So that's why minorities are treated the way they are. So here's a close-up again of Cyborg here. And you can see this is another version of Cyborg. This Cyborg, he comes from, I believe, Justice League Doomed. Alright. This is a bald-headed Cyborg. Kind of looks like a footballer as well, if you notice. And this corresponds with this Cyborg, which comes from Flashpoint Paradox. Also bald-headed. And again, looks more like a footballer. But again, the features are the same. They got this chin guard thing going on, half humanoid, half robot. The rest of him, not really humanoid. This one has a little bit of humanoid parts there, but mostly mechanized and robot again, for the most part of his body. So most of his body is mechanized. Okay, it's really cool. And you got Injustice Cyborg, again following more or less along the lines of these two these two cyborgs, but he has a little bit more mechanization. So you can see that there's the engineering here, but you see underneath also, you see this sort of skeletal structure underneath, and glowing stuff from his main area here up to his eye, and sort of tissues and ligaments sort of things running in between, which reminds me of Cyborg. Cyborg actually looks like that. So you see here Cyborg, he has the ligament kind of things there. He's more skeletal on the inside and much more framework working in him, and he's glowing on the inside here. But again, these are not fully flushed out Cyborg. Like Cyborg, fully flushed out Cyborg would have more fully connected parts. This is more of a scrap down Cyborg, right? Very interesting. So finally we get to Justice League War, where we have more of a scrap down Cyborg, very much like this Cyborg here. So this is like the early version of Cyborg. Okay, again, there's more tissue and stuff structure in him, but in this case the light is green from the mother box. Mother box was green, so he more has green lighting, whereas in this case the energy from the mother box makes Cyborg's insides here red. So he has more red on his internal parts more than he has green, as in this Cyborg. Alright, this is from Justice League War, which is really cool as well. Let's get a close-up on both of them. Alright. This is Cyborg from Justice League, DC Universe Online. It's a different Cyborg. This Cyborg shoots bullets. He has a cannon that shoots bullets, big old pack on his back, and he's again highly robotic, but he has some humanoid tissue here on these parts. His lower limbs and joints are all robotic. His core body is also robotic, but he has this big cannon here on the side. So this one kind of veers away from the typical Cyborg, but again, facial features, he's got the chin guard, he's got the half humanoid face, half robotic face. So more or less, again, the normal Cyborg pattern. Of course, he has more of these skeletal kind of musculature joints that help the head to rotate, which is very much like the other two Cyborgs we just saw. And finally, I just wanted to show you, Total Film showed this. This was way back early in the earlier days. Total Film shows Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman. I thought Justice League Action, which is the most recent iteration of the Justice League, also shows this and imitates this, except that we don't have Aquaman, who's in green and gold, but we have Green Arrow, who's in green. He has blonde hair and, black. Okay, but this is sort of cool how Wonder Woman's in the center, leading the battle, and then you have Cyborg on her left flank, and you got Green Lantern on the right, and then in Justice League, you got that as well. So I thought it was pretty cool. And by the way, Wonder Woman in this Justice League Action, she also has a sword and a shield, and she likes to kick butt. So I just thought I would share this with you guys. I thought this was interesting to share. I can't wait to see Cyborg in action. I really can't. I mean, the CGI on this wasn't fully refined. You can see it's not completed yet in this particular one. I'm hoping they can get the CGI to look solid and to this level here, where you can't tell if it's real or not. So I'm hoping they can get it up to this standard, because I'm telling you, if you can get Cyborg to look like that, well, I mean, with all the glowing stuff and all the connective tissue in him and that kind of thing, because this is not glowing. When you look at Cyborg here, this stuff is glowing and it looks real. It looks real in this lighting. It looks solid. That's what you want with Cyborg. You really want him to come out rendered like as real as possible. And I think they're doing an excellent job, and I know they're going for even better. I can't wait. I really can't wait to see Ray Fisher's Cyborg, because I really feel that Cyborg is a character you will really enjoy and love and respect. I think a lot of minorities, actually, Black Panther's coming out next year, but a lot of minorities are going to really love this character, because this character, he may steal the hearts of a couple people well. He may steal the show. They're not really showing a lot about Cyborg, and I think They're holding back on Cyborg. I think they're going to hold back on Cyborg a bit. But I'm telling you now, even as a minority myself, meaning I'm a black person, I really like Cyborg. I really like how they're doing him. I'm glad they're not making him goofy and funny. And I know Justice League Action there is more of a spoof thing, so that's a different story. But still, I don't want laughs out of Cyborg. I really want him to keep this character as close to what it really is, and to let people empathize with this character and what he's going through. At the same time, feel hopeful and inspired by this character when he finally finds himself, because he's gonna have to do a lot of soul searching, seeing that he was one way before, this great athlete, and and now he's this thing. He's this thing. He doesn't know what he is. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. Following this character, I heard that some parts of the character were too dark for people. I believe it's because he's the core of the film, the center of the film. Cyborg needs to be hopeful. He may not be hopeful all the way through the film. I don't expect him to be hopeful when he ends up being Cyborg. I don't think he's going to be very hopeful. I think he's going to be very distraught and puzzled and perturbed. I expect that, but I expect him to be hopeful as the movie progresses, especially as he starts to interact with the Flash. He starts to interact with Barry Allen. I think he's going to become more And the cool thing about Barry Allen, which I didn't really talk about, and why people are calling this Super Friends, is because Barry Allen keeps on saying, "I just need friends." So Barry Allen's pushing the Super Friends sort of feel to the story. And the cool thing about it is that I think Barry and Victor Stone, I think they're going to become very good friends. I think they're going to become buddies. And so it's going to be interesting seeing how Victor interacts with Barry. I think Barry's going to be that kind of light for Victor to do his thing and really truly bounce back and find himself, and not necessarily look for approval from his dad, even though he's got this thing going on with his father. So I'm looking forward to Victor Stone. I think his story is going to be awesome in the sense that, and a lot of people, play down Cyborg. When we think of Justice League, we don't think of Cyborg as a prime character. We think of him as a side character, okay? If we think about even Teen Titans, yeah, we think about Cyborg, but even though he did at some point lead the Teen Titans, we think of Cyborg, but we never really think of him as, a foremost figure like Nightwing or like Robin. He always seems to be left in the shadows. And even now, it looks like if, he's just a side note. He's left in the shadows. But I think purposefully, they're leaving Cyborg. They're not giving Cyborg this big showcase because they're holding back Cyborg. Just like how they held back Diablo. Except Cyborg, I think, is going to be involved in a lot more than Diablo's involved. And I think he's going to be more key to this story. You just look at Justice League War. He was integral in Justice League War. But I think they're going to make him even more key to this story and all the other characters in the story. So I'm looking forward to Cyborg. I think he carries a good chunk of Justice League. So, yeah, that's my favorite character, folks. I really like Cyborg. I can identify with Cyborg very easily. And I've read Cyborg's comics, so you guys need to go read these comics, man. I keep on saying, you guys need to read the comics because the comics are wonderful. So much you miss out when you don't read comics, man. You need to read comics. You read the comics, you will get more out of your stories than if you don't read comics. See what I'm saying? Anyway, on that note, you guys have a great one.